Today, you are going to get a front row seat to the incredible Springbok career of Andre Venter. Andre, welcome to Front Row Rugby.
Thank you, Peter.
It's great to have you here. And just before we begin our conversation, let's take a look at this week's trivia question. In 2012, Heineke Meyer became the new Springbok coach. Which was the first international team to defeat Meyer's Boks that year? Now, if you know the answer to the question, you can put it in the comment section down below. And we'll also find out if Andre knows the answer, but we'll do that at the end of our conversation. Andre, I would like to begin in 1996, when you made your debut for the Springboks against the All Blacks in Durban. It came with a bit of a background, with Francois Pienaar having been being omitted from the team from the week before when he suffered an injury. Those could not have been easy circumstances for you. How do you remember it?
Yeah, I mean, well, that was in 1996, and at that stage I was already being part of a Springbok squad, traveling for the Tri-Nations and pre-season test against Fiji. So, I mean, getting involved in the team and taking part of the practices and the training sessions, it was okay. And so, I mean, everything was, I mean, you're part of a team and you just can't wear your Springbok blazer because I haven't been capped yet. And so, I mean, for me, I never thought that I would get a chance against New Zealand for the first 3 tests. And but I mean, that's how life's work. I mean, one slip and or one injury, and then you get an opportunity. You must just be ready whenever it comes your way.
Even though we lost that match, how much did you enjoy being part of it?
No, I must say it is, thinking back, I mean, it is, everybody say, and you can ask any Springbok that playing a test, and I think especially against New Zealand, I mean, you think a game start and then it's over. So it's so fast, and you want to do a lot of stuff, and which you never did. And but if you're part of a team, and luckily I was fortunate to play with good loose forwards like Ruben Kruger and Gary Teichmann, and there was quite a few senior players in the team, and that helps a lot. And so it was. I mean, obviously you want to win every game you play, but I mean it is every game against New Zealand or the top nations always going to be tight. I mean, it's test rugby; it's supposed to be tight, and so on the day anything can happen.
I've got to ask you, Andre, if you can explain to us who have never played rugby at that level, what is it actually like facing the haka?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it is. If you look at at anybody you ask, I mean, from when we were children, watching the Springboks play against New Zealand and the haka, you dream it and you play it and you rehearse it, and so. But the physical, what happened on the day, it's phenomenal. It's amazing. It's good for rugby. I think it's good for sport to have such a like haka. It's special. It is. I mean, as much as it hypes up the New Zealand's team, as is the same happened to us as well. And yeah, if you look at all the games, even the World Cup final last year in 2023, I mean, the haka before the game, it is important for the New Zealanders, but it's also important for the opposing team to face it and to gear up and to put your mind into a next level. So it's special, yes, and it's a challenge. So you want to take it on, and there's no escape. So you have to face it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, Andre, we unfortunately lost that series to New Zealand in 1996. We became the first Springbok team to lose a series against the All Blacks on South African soil. Why do you think that was?
I mean, it's no particular reason. I mean, just look at I think it was last year when Ireland beat New Zealand in a test series. I mean, every single game, if you play and you win, say for like we have went on later on that winning streak. I mean, every game you play is a game closer to your to losing, and so is the opposite as well. If you're losing, every game you play is closer to your win. So you must just continue on, and it is sad. It is obviously no one want to lose, and no one want to lose a series. But such things happen, and it's so marginal. And like I said, on a day, a call by a referee, and I'm not saying in '96 it happened, a call by a referee, but anything can happen. It's one weak moment, a knock or a missed tackle, and it can be the difference between winning and losing. So the margin between New Zealand and South Africa is always like that, and that is important for Test rugby, and that keep. I mean, if a game is close, it get all the crowd is keep coming back for more. I mean, if it's every game you play, you win by 30 or 50 points. I mean, people won't go to the game because there's nothing in it. It's boring. But it is because it's so important, and so the margin is so fine, and that's the reason why. I mean, anything can happen on the day.
I got to ask you, Andre, after that series, we had an end-of-year tour where we went to Argentina, France, and Wales. And our coach, Andre Markgraaff, at the time, he made the decision to drop Francois Pienaar, who was the captain. What was your reaction to that?
No, I mean, Francois was been he was injured in the Tri Nations for the last 3 games against the Test series against New Zealand, so he missed out that 3. I mean, it's difficult for me to say because I don't select the team, and Gary was such a phenomenal captain. And if I rate a captain, I would say he's one of, if not the best captain I've played with. And I'm still good friends with him, and he's just a leader, and you just want to follow him, and you just don't want to disappoint him. And so if you ask me, how do I feel? I feel sorry for him, but I don't feel sorry for myself.
Absolutely. Now, I got to ask you, Andre, on that end-of-year tour, we went to Argentina, we won that series 2-0, and then we beat the French in France, which is not something that is easy to achieve. How special was that?
I must say, I can remember that as well. It's because there was a lot of emphasis regarding, for such a long time, South Africa haven't beaten the French in France in a Test series for a very long time. And so for us as a team, it was important to get momentum and also to honor the 95, the legacy of the 95 World Cup squad to continue. And it was important to win. And obviously, the big rival has always been between the North and the South. And for us, we will have to beat them and to do our part for the Southern Hemisphere. But I must say, it was. I remember. Well, one game was. I don't know. I'm not sure if it was the first or the second game. Yeah, we beat them by 1 point. I think it was the second one, and the first one was by 4 or 5 points. And I remember, especially if I now think back of a highlight. I remember that last 5, 7, 8 minutes we defend on our try line against a French team that was fighting for survival. And I mean, they got some influential players, and that become serious legends, and they were giving everything. And but we kept them out, and so for us, that was special. So it was a very important tour, and for me, it was to win, that was important, yeah.
Special memories indeed. Now, Andre, shortly after that, Markgraaff was out as Springbok coach. Talk to us a little bit about how you would experience him as a coach.
Andre Markgraaff was most certainly the coach that him and Nick Ballard, but Andre got a big knowledge of the game, and you can, even now today, you can ask him anything and he will know it. He will know players. He'll know the rules. He's not a coach anymore, but the love of the game is. I compare that with Rossi and the way they handle the intensity, and they're intense about the game. They know what they're talking about. If he talks, you can listen. Yeah, and but so is Nick Ballard as well. And but I was lucky to. But you asked me now a different question. I answered another one. But Andre was. It was sad for us that he was out. But such things happen, and I mean you. Tomorrow lives go on, and the next person come in, and maybe he's better, maybe he's not better. So you never know.
Indeed, and you mentioned Mallet there as well. We'll talk about Nick a little bit later, but in between, Karel du Plessis took over as the new Springbok coach, and one of the first assignments was a 3-test series against the British and Irish Lions. Andre, I've had quite a few former Springboks on this show who were part of that 1997 team, and almost to a man, they all say we should never have lost that series. What do you say?
Absolutely, that was the biggest. Not supposed to happen. Test series lost. I mean, it's. I think we could have some more preparation, better preparation in terms of having played more games beforehand, which we didn't. I mean, due to whatever the reason was. But and it's not something about Karel that's wrong, or Karel was a good coach, and he was a good player, and he was just. I think everything just came too fast. Immediately, pressure, British and Irish Lions. There was no build-up. It was just like suddenly. It's like so. It was a bit fast, I think. But surely, if you look at our team and the stats and scoring tries and stuff what that was being implemented, by Andre Markgraaff, but you must remember that Andre Markgraaff, the assistant coach, was on the end of the year tour before, and was Karel du Plessis and Nick Mallet. They were the two assistant coaches. So they were just implementing what was already being sorted, but like I said, it wasn't enough preparation beforehand. So Karel's a good coach, and what you will see later on when Karel was being sacked as a coach and Nick Mallet came in, he just continued on the same as Karel, because of running rugby and scoring tries, and it just happened. It's difficult, but I think as a player can get dropped, so can a coach.
Certainly can be the case. So I'm going to just stay with the Karel du Plessis era just for one or two more questions. We went to New Zealand in the Tri-Nations and we were beaten 55-35. Quite an incredible contest that you would have so many tries in a match between the Boks and the All Blacks. You were actually sent off in that match. How much of a disappointment was that for you?
No, that was a massive disappointment. I mean, those days there wasn't a TV umpire. Most probably there's a TV umpire. It was maybe reckless play, and there was maybe a yellow card. Of course, I never touched Fitpatrick close to his head. I was more on his body, and that at that time, most probably would have given me a medal for doing it, because at that time, rocking was still allowed. But I never rocked him in the face. In fact, the next day on his when I went for my trial, he was actually informed him, but I didn't get hold of him. But he was giving such a show that it was. The referee gave me a red card, and I'm sure. I mean, it is in the heat of a moment. There's a lot of confrontation and aggressiveness before that. From both sides, and I think the referee just wanted to make a statement, and I think he was also being shocked by himself, taking out a red card instead of a yellow card. But I must say also, the next day, after going off, it was first you want to fight and argue with the ref, but luckily, I mean, it is. I knew that, the ref's decision is his decision. He's not going to change red to a yellow and call me back. So I walked off, and it was tough. It was hectic at that stage. I think it was very much competitive. But playing against New Zealand, with one man short on the side of a rock and playing against Christian Cullen and some elusive players and Jonah Lomo and players like that. I mean, it will always been a difficult task. And I think at that stage, nobody was prepared for red cards because it didn't happen as a rule like today. So today you train to play with these players and defend and stuff like that. But those days, it was like a fluke. But after the game, Dr. Louis Light, he was also in New Zealand and watching the game, and he called me in as we arrived at the hotel. And at first he was furious, and I said to him, but I didn't touch his head because I knew I missed him because I never went for I went for normal rock. I mean, it is part of a game, and then he called me to his room and took out he got the footage from whoever gave it to him. And so he was disappointed and he was prepared the next day to defend me during my trial. And at that stage, if you got a red card, there was no saying it was a wrong decision. They just say it was reckless play. It's fine, and they didn't. They only spent me for 2 weeks, so it wasn't for 2 games or stuff like that. It was only for 2 weeks, but it was a big, massive disappointment. And I think at that stage we were very much competitive in the game, but I disappointed the team. So it is all coming. Doesn't matter who say what. It all come back to myself. Yeah.
Hey, if you're enjoying this video, why not consider becoming a patron? It's my dream, guys, to do this full time, and with a small financial contribution, you can help me realize that dream. The link and the QR code is appearing on your screen right now, and I'll also put it down in the description area for you to go and click on at a later stage if you would like to do so. And by becoming a patron, I promise there will be great benefits for members. Now let's get back to the interview. I want to talk a little bit about Sean Fitpatrick, Andre, because I've had some former Springboks on this show like Johan Leroux, who, as you know, bit Fitzpatrick's ear. I've also had Johan Steiger on the show, who scrummed against Fitzpatrick in the early 1990s. And they tell me that he's a very difficult man to play against because he's very good at winding up the opposition. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, you see, I'm a more mind my own business person, so he never influenced me. But obviously, he was a nice target because if you could eliminate him, you eliminate the New Zealand team. And I think he was a big influence in his own team. I mean, he's like a Gary Teichmann. It's like an aura around him. It's like if it goes well with him, it goes well with the team. And I think that was his thing. And when sometimes people think they wind him up, maybe in the front row, I think it was different. But normally he didn't. I think the front row kept him so busy, he never came to the loose forwards. But I mean, he was a nice target to have. So whenever you play against New Zealand, you want to get hold of him because he's a nice target. But I must say also, he's an awesome person. And for after that, I received a red card, and he was willing to say it wasn't. It was. I won't say it wasn't. He just said he will say, he will testify that it wasn't against his head because it wasn't. There was no mark. I mean, if I could get hold of him like he act, I'm sure that he wasn't on the field as well.
It's good to know that information as well. Let's talk now about the 1997 end of year tour, because you mentioned there how Nick Mallett came in and continued the good work that Andre Markgraaff had actually started the year before. And I've always felt as if at the end of 1996, the Springboks were in a very, very good position. And then we kind of went backwards a little bit in the middle of 97. But after that 97 tour, we were back where we were a year earlier. And there were some incredible results. You mentioned there the running rugby that we saw, big wins over Italy, that massive 52-10 win over France, which was a record in Paris, the 68-10 over Scotland. How enjoyable was it to be part of that tour?
I think everything started at Loftus against Australia. I was suspended for that test, but I think that was the first. That was Carl's last test. But that was actually like I think what Carl was planning to play like. And when Nick comes in, he just take it to the next level. And he was a good coach. He know the game, but his big thing, he was passionate. And it was also, for me, it was important to bring the thing in between the English and the Afrikaans players, which I never experienced anything bad. People say sometimes I read their books, they say, yeah, there was this or there was that. But I must say, I'm a Boertjie, Rou Afrikaans, and I must say, I never experienced anything Afrikaans or English or Zulu or Xhosa in a Springbok side. I mean, if you go into the field and you're selecting the team, the players is backing each other and they play. They play for the country and they're doing a good job. And but yeah, Nick was just so passionate. He'd have to come through to the players, and the way. Like training sessions was like there was energy, and everybody knew exactly where they stand and where you want us to go, and it was clear. So it's also, like I said earlier, like you don't want to disappoint your captain, which was Gary Teichmann, who was a phenomenal leader. So you don't want to disappoint your coach.
And we won 17 in a row. It's a special part of Springbok history as well. Andre, is there one match in that 17 winning sequence that stands out for you as a highlight?
Yes, I mean, but then I say, everybody asks me always, I say every single game I played for Springbok, when we win, was a highlight for me. And I'm very competitive. I would rather have a bad win than a good loss. So I would prefer to win every single match. And but I think the one against New Zealand in Durban was at 23, yeah. We came back with 11 minutes and we were 23-11 behind, and we win the match. I mean, we were at such a, and I mentioned it earlier. If you winning, it's a habit. You know you can win, and it doesn't matter who say what. The 2 minutes, 1 minute. I mean, like the Springboks against England in the World Cup last year, they just so on a high and on a hype, and the confidence is in the team, and they just, everybody know what to do when on the field. Doesn't matter. They don't negotiate. If you arrive at a line out, you know exactly what to do next, and you know what the opposition is going to do next. And that was a big thing in our team. Yeah. So the positiveness, and like I said, against New Zealand, coming from behind. Even if I remember that game, I mean, I think Stefan de Blanc scored the first try, but thereafter they came back and they're leading, and it was like disappointment, and the crowd was, some of the crowd was leaving the stadium, and then suddenly at the braai at the back they had that the Springbok have won the game, and that's just how it happens. So that one was special for me. And then on my birthday on 14 November, that was in 98, we played on the I think it's Wembley, against Wales, because they were rebuilding the Millennium Stadium for the World Cup in 99. I scored a winning try. US was from a scrum. US went to the short side, and he was supposed to pass to the inside to Rassie, and Rassie missed the ball because it was a pass behind, a bit high at the back, and it landed in my hand, and I scored a winning try on my birthday. So that was for me special, and also being on the Wembley, because I'm a Manchester United fan. So it all that was for me a special moment. But and then I think the '99 World Cup, the Scotland game, that was I think it was the first game in the World Cup '99, and then we won against England. Any game against England, if we beat them, is beautiful. And that was special. But there was many games. I mean, it is playing against Ireland. The French was always a tough game, and playing against them, that game you mentioned earlier in '96, the 13-12, it was, I mean, it was you fight till the end. I mean, it can happen, anything can happen, and you have to tackle and you put everything on the line, and then at the end it's a whistle blow, and you win, and that is special, yes.
Some great memories that you've talked us through there, Andre. So let's go or stay in 1998 and that end of year tour. And I think you know where I'm going to go with this. There was a little bit of controversy surrounding Bob Skinstad coming into the team. And as it turned out, you were the player that was dropped to make space for Skinstad. A lot of people saying that Alan Solomons was in Nick Mallett's ear and that caused it to happen. But I'd be very interested to know, from a personal perspective, what were you going through?
Well, that was just after my winning try against Wales. So the next game was against Scotland. So, but I must say, Bobby did play good rugby, so take nothing away from him. But I think at that stage, being on a winning streak, and I don't think I was playing bad rugby. And when they called me in and say I'm not going to play, I'm going to be on the bench, and but my instinct is normal. I'm a fighter, so I like a challenge. And they said Nick said that the dynamics of a game, not actually. Alan Solomons was more of a guy that doing the speaking, and but when obviously I think Nick was in a bit of difficult situation. But when he spoke to me, he said to me that he see me as in future as a lock, and I said it's fine, because at that stage, halftime, normally just after halftime they will move me to lock, and you move me to lock, and then you will bring up a Bobby or another loose forward. So it wasn't. I mean, I like a challenge, and when he said to me, I took it on the chin, and so it wasn't that I'm not going to play. It's only you move to the bench, which is different. And then, I mean, I want to play. I said it's fine. I'll take on the challenge, and I will prepare as a lock. And then the next game was against Scotland, and funny enough, it was the next game against Scotland. It was a bit of a tougher game than we expected, and when I came on, it was a tight score. And like I said, funny enough, I passed twice to Bobby, and he scored twice. And but it's nothing between me and Bobby. Me and Bobby were never enemies, or I was never mad at him. I mean, it's been selected by the coaches, and if you make the right choice, it is for him to decide. And I'm a player, and I need to do whatever is expected for me. And but thereafter, I was sitting. There was no midweek game because we were a touring squad and with two teams. So after Scotland, we moved to Ireland, and we played against the midweek side. Played against Ireland A. I'm not so sure which field it was. It could be Cork. Could be, and I was selected as a lock, because now remember they said that I'm now a lock, and then what's his Kornykrieg was the loose forward, and he was the captain, and he got flu, and then he withdrew from the game, and then Nick have to come back to me and said, Andre, I just told you you're a lock, but you have to play flank again. And so I said to him, it's no problem. And So I think I played a good game. So at flank, when there was a bit more pressure on him as well. But I mean, that's just how it happens. And I'm not. It was bad for me, but it wasn't like it was feel like death, but it wasn't death. So nobody was dead. So I took on the challenge, and the big thing is like I said to my son as well. Whatever you do, if a coach drop you or you put you on the bench, then you can have an attitude. And but if you have a bad attitude and you're going to go on the field and then you need to change your attitude, then you're already behind. But if you have a positive attitude during training, during everything, then going on the field, you're already 2 steps ahead. So that helps me a lot. I've got enough support from other players in the team. I think a lot of them was as surprised as myself. But so some of them took it maybe harder than myself because they were stressed that they are next. So but I was okay. I took it, and now it's maybe easier to say it afterwards. It was okay, but it wasn't okay at that stage. But it's okay. It's you have to deal with it, and luckily, like I said, I've got enough support in the team and from outside the team as well, from friends and family, and that makes a big difference.
So, Andre, you mentioned earlier the 1999 Rugby World Cup, that beautiful win over Scotland, the Jannie de Beer show against England, as you say, always lovely to beat the English. But then that semi-final against Australia, the way we lost it with the Stephen Larkham drop goal, how much of a sucker punch was that?
Yeah, I think that was actually the World Cup to win was, it could have been the first back-to-back. It was an opportunity, and we missed it out. Yeah, so that was a big disappointment. Nobody. It's not to say. I mean, Australia was a good team. I mean, they went on and won the World Cup, and but that's Test rugby. It is competitive till the end, and on the day, just that one moment, that one brilliant moment. And that's decided between winning and losing. And unfortunately for them, it was a drop goal by Stephen Larkham. That was a brilliant moment.
You mentioned a little bit earlier, we spoke about Andre Markgraaff, Carl du Plessis, Nick Mallett, and about a year later, Mallett was out of the picture. He was replaced by Harry Viljoen. Again, I've had some former Springboks on the show talk to me about that era. They specifically talk about the fancy suits and the smart shoes and how Harry ran the team like a business. What can you tell us about Harry Viljoen?
He want to do certain stuff in the team, in the playing style. And I don't think now, if I think back at that stage, I mean, you buy in because you're a player. Yeah, but I think if I now think back, maybe it wasn't idyllic play for how you play Test rugby, and where the field is still stay the same size as for any other team, and the margin between winning and losing is so close, and supposed to be the top players on the pitch, and so space is limited, everything is limited. So but I mean, you also make a big contribution, and yeah. So, but my views of rugby, I would prefer Andre Markgraaff, Nick Mallett, Carl du Plessis as coaches.
Very interesting stuff. Andre, also, you stayed in Harry's team throughout 2001, and then on that end-of-year tour, by that stage, you were largely on the bench, and then that was pretty much also the end of your Test career. How disappointed were you that it ended there?
No, I decided I still got at that stage. I still had a contract with SA Rugby for Springboks. And it wasn't supposed to be my. What happened is after that tour, Harry was also gone, so he wasn't a completer. I mean, still, I think he also had a contract, but he also jumped the boat, and then Rudolf Strali come in, and he was a coach. I went back to South Africa. I think I got a broken nose where I went in for operation, and then I got a shoulder, which was a small niggling, and then I got a wrist, which was a bad thing, which I nursed for some time, and I went for operation for that, and there I was out for 6 months, and I was busy with preparation or rehab in Cape Town, and Rudolf Strali was a coach. And at that stage, my son was born the previous year. Andre Hugo was born the previous year in September. And I mean, everything happened, and my injury and my rehab. And I just went to Rudolf Strali. I still got a contract till the next World Cup in 2003. And I said to him that I don't think I'm going to go on. I got still, at that stage, I got a business in Bloemfontein. And there was many things happen, and so I decided I'm going to call it a day, and I'm going to still play for Cheetahs and complete the season. And he just asked me, okay, you hear what I'm saying, but he asked me not to announce it at that stage. So we didn't announce it, and he said he must first rethink about it. And then the same thing, I think I did. He just did ask me to play in the end of the year tour for that tour, which I declined, and because I decided I'm going to finish rugby completely.
And then, Andre, for those who don't know, in 2006, you actually became very ill. If you wouldn't mind sharing that story with us, please.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I just got transverse myelitis. I mean, I was still playing for Rugby Legends. I think we play in 2006. We played in the World Cup, which was hosted in Devon, and we played the final against New Zealand. So everything went well, and a few weeks later, I got ill. It's like flu. You feel like flu, but it was like got a pain in your back, and then I went for several tests for in and out hospital for 2 or 3 weeks, and they couldn't find what the issue was, and then it was a Friday morning. I got the pain again and a lump in my leg. You feel like your one leg was always feel sleepy, and I went upstairs and I stumbled, and then I went to hospital, and that was my last. I mean, I went in, I climbed the stairs, and I never at that stage, whenever I have to can choose between a lift and stairs, I took the stairs. I mean, for just as you train, practice, I mean, it's good for yourself. I mean, as long as you can do it. And but the thing is so that was the Saturday. My one leg was actually the Sunday. I still watch the rugby Free State was playing against. I couldn't remember, maybe the Bulls, and I watched it on TV in hospital. And the next morning when I woke up, my one leg was completely dead. And then I was in they have to give me some medicine, and I was totally out for about maybe 30 days, a month, and but then I was completely paralyzed. And when they call you, but at the end they find out what is the thing was transverse myelitis, and there's no particular reason why you get it. It is it happens, and there's a lot of it happening more in, I think, in the America side and in Europe than in South Africa. It's a very rare thing that happened, but I mean, that's how it is. It happened, so yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. We really do appreciate it. And I can tell you that I speak on behalf of all of my viewers that we're just happy that you are still with us, and that we can be talking here with you. As I said to you before we began the interview, you're one of the legends of Springbok rugby. You're one of the heroes of Springbok rugby. So it's nice that we can still be having you here, and we can be talking with you. Andre, let me ask you, who was your toughest opponent?
No, toughest opponent. I mean, sometimes it's not people you're playing directly against, and but one particular person I can highlight is Ruben Kruger, the way he was playing, and and he was just like a never die. He's like a machine. He's like he just never stops, and he was a good example. And the good thing about another good thing about him was he never talked about it. He was just do it. He was like a typical Nike at just do it. Yeah, he want the job completed, and he always demand excellence. And playing with him in a loose crew was phenomenal. And yeah, so I've got a lot of respect for him, and he was a good friend as well. And then I must maybe, like I said earlier, you don't play against one specific person, but the influential person was maybe Martin Johnson. I think he was like massively influential. He was always like in your face. He was like always. He was for me more influential or in your face, and more of a irritation than Sean Fitzpatrick. And I think Sean Fitzpatrick was a phenomenal player, phenomenal leader. And whereas if you look at Gary Teichmann, how he was as a leader, he was just brilliant leader. He was like you just want to follow him. He's like a king you want to follow. Yeah, he was like a good captain.
Is there a current player who you admire?
I must say, it was this morning. I speak to somebody, and he was asking me about, and I said that maybe, and I shared it. I think the best ever loose forward play I see in my life as a retired rugby player was Pieter Stef de Tooy in the World Cup final. He was just the total package: running, tackling, aggressive, cleaning, work. He was for me. He was the complete.
He is certainly an unbelievable player. Andre, is there a particularly funny moment that you can share with us from your time with the Springboks?
Oh, I can tell you a funny moment with at the Cheetahs, which come to mind easily. It is everybody know Helgard Miller, and he's a legend. And we playing against the Brumbies in Canberra, and at that stage, the red and the yellow cards was just coming in, and Wayne Erickson, I think, yeah, he was the referee, and now at that stage, we normally got the functions. Nowadays they changed it, but normally at that stage we still got the function after every match. There's a function for the two teams, and then we will give them a tie, and they'll give us a tie, coaches, and then the captain will thank the referee and everybody. And so Helgard was on stage. He was our captain, and he went on stage and he said, you know, he just want, but during that game, we got a few yellow cards, and I think there was a few red cards and stuff like that. And Helgard was saying, I said, Mr. Ref, I just want to thank you for blowing the game. But the emphasis on blowing the game, because we lost it. Blowing the game for us. And the way you were putting the red card and the yellow cards, it was looking like you were playing rummy. So that was Helgard Miller. But he was a lot of stories about him going on, and most probably they all true. And Helgard is a good example and a good legend for the game now.
Let me ask you, what are you up to these days?
No, currently, well, like I said earlier, I had a business. We started a business in myself and Chris Barnos, also ex-Springbok rugby player. We started a business, iTech, in 1997, and I'm still involved here, but we sold the business in 2013 to also extra retired Springbok captain Adrian Strauss and Valentine Ransoren. But we're still involved in the business, and we still ring fence our own clients, our major clients. And so ever since I'm still involved, and then I've got a thing here and a thing there, and my wife got a guest house, Blue Rain guest house here in Bloemfontein. And so Not. I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm doing what I need to do, and I have to work. I come every day to the office, and I do what I need to do. Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Let's finish off by looking at that trivia question again. In 2012, Heineke Meyer became the new Springbok coach. Which was the first international team to defeat Meyer's Boks that year? Do you know the answer, Andre?
No, I Argentina.
You know what? As it turns out, Argentina actually got a draw against Heineke Meyer's Springboks. I think it was in Mendoza in the Rugby Championship. And then the week or 2 weeks after that, we lost for the first time under Heineke, and it was against Australia.
And in Australia, okay. Yeah. Because I remember I went to a game in PE against Argentina, and that was also a tight game.
Andre, let me say it was lovely having you on Front Row Rugby today, and a real pleasure to listen to those old stories. And I really hope that we can have you on again in the future.
No, thank you very much. Thanks, Peter, and thanks for inviting me. And like I said, I just want to say in my situation, rugby was always good for me, and I got made good friends. And one of the players also that was the toughest opponent I played against, also Springbok. And in fact, I met my wife. My first date with my wife was after I ran into him and I got concussion. That was Vol Bartman. And he's a very close friend of mine. And but I mean, it's phenomenal. Wherever you go, say to Cape Town and meet maybe a Rob Lowe, and I was being privileged to be coached by my hero Carl du Plessis and Gert Small. So rugby is actually a phenomenal sport, and phenomenal people, and the crowds has always been awesome. If I went now to rugby games, and I see it's just amazing, and it's a beautiful sport, and we must look after it and make a big difference.
Last time on Front Row Rugby, I had another fenter on the show, AJ. You can go and watch that video. It's appearing on your screen right now. Next time, I'll have another Springbok flank on this program, Warren Brosnihan.